Today we're going to talk about storyboarding. Let's get right to it. I'm going to show you how to do storyboards. This is going to be the rough way to do storyboards on paper. So what you want to do first thing is decide what your project is going to be aspect ratio wise. And what is aspect ratio? It's the shape of your frame. Here is an example of standard TV, which back in the day, we used to have television. It was 3:4 aspect ratio, which means for every 4 units wide, it's 3 units high. So it's practically a square. Old school TV was practically a square. So that's 3:4 aspect ratio. The aspect ratio you're probably more familiar with is 16.9 or 16:9, which 16 wide and 9 high. That's your standard widescreen TV. My favorite aspect ratio, if I'm doing a narrative film for cinema, is the cinematic one, which is called 2.35 to 1. That's a point. 2.35 to 1. Right? Let me fix that a little bit. Make my 3 a little bit better when I draw fast. 2.35 to 1. That's cinema. Okay? Those are some of the basic aspect ratios. Aspect ratios can be whatever you want. It'll either letterbox or crop the frame, but those are pretty much the standards. Very few people do 3:4. When we're doing That Darn Girlfriend, I purposely shoot in 3:4 because I am emulating old school TV. So if I'm storyboarding for That Darn Girlfriend, I would storyboard on a 3:4 frame. If you're doing 16:9, you're going to use this frame. But we're going to do demonstrations on 2.35 to 1, a cinematic storyboard. Okay, which if you're looking at it on your widescreen and you notice like sometimes you're looking at a movie and it's letterboxing it still, that's generally going to be a 2.35 to 1. Like if you're watching Dune or you're watching Star Wars or any sci-fi things, they're always going to be that way. All right, I'm going to change the color here because first things first. Now that we figured out the size of our frame, before you start to draw, you want to understand something about perspective. So today's lesson is just going to be about perspective. Perspective is, we naturally see things with perspective, and artists try to draw to emulate perspective as close to the natural eye as you can do it. All right? The first thing is we determine the horizon. When you're looking out, and even if you're indoors, there's always a horizon in the distance. Okay, but let's just do an outdoor, we're going to emulate an outdoor shot. So the horizon. Usually the horizon, so if you have your frame here, and let's, for example, I'm going to do 2 layers here. First layer, I'm going to do the rule of thirds. So the rule of thirds is, a lot of times you'll see this sometimes in your camera. Let me straighten that out a little better. Let me make that perfectly up and down. There we go. Your camera will tend to do something like this, where it breaks almost like a tic-tac-toe grid, right? Let me just adjust that. You got a tic-tac-toe grid there, and it's splitting your frame up into thirds. This is not fully accurate. Don't concern, I'm just using it as an illustration. I'm trying to do this very quickly. So that's your rule of thirds, right? Your horizon level is generally going to be above this bottom line. Usually. Aesthetically, your DP is going to probably frame the horizon because you get more of the landscape in the shot. So let's just put the horizon here. And the camera's going to keep it level. Not necessarily going to be level. Sometimes you want the shot tilted, but for sake of perspective, I'm going to hide that for now. So there's your horizon. You also have perspective lines. So from each corner of the frame, they're going to converge on a vanishing point. Now, I can actually get this if I angle this correctly, and I got to zoom out so I can get the right angle to where, there we go. Nope, not quite. There we go. Sometimes so this is geometry here, right? It helps to go from the bottom up. I don't know why that is, but yeah, no, that's not. But you notice how the vertex of each corner of the frame, let me get that more accurate, will cross, they intersect at a vanishing point. Now, where I put the horizon here, you'll notice the vanishing point is right back there. Now, you've always seen, sometimes you'll see, like, especially in the Wild West shows, they'll have, oh, here's the train tracks, right? The train tracks, are here. Here's the railroad ties, and they're going, as they get closer to the distance, they go higher, higher in the frame, right? There's your tracks, and then way in the distance, you've got your little train is coming at you. There's the smoke coming off the train, and then you've got the damsel in distress, or whoever, maybe the guy in distress, or somebody's in distress because they're tied to the tracks, that typical thing. But that's your perspective, basic perspective, right? Basic perspective. So you have your horizon and your perspective lines. Okay? So that's a basic introduction to perspective. In the next episode, I'm going to show you how to use basic shapes to draw people. It's very simple. You don't have to be an award-winning artist to pull it off. So tune in next time for the next episode.